"15 minutes to the hour of 8, and it is time for the Middle East Report. We speak to James Dorsey, an award-winning scholar and journalist with a different perspective on the Middle East. He is also a senior fellow at the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies based in Singapore. James, good morning. Welcome to Radio Islam International.
Good morning. It's always a pleasure to be with you on this Friday morning.
Oh, thank you so much for that. To start off with Syria and the future of Syria, well, it seems like Syria, rather than Gaza, is likely to shape the future of the Middle East. Whether Syria stabilizes or it descends into chaos, that all depends on whether Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharaa delivers. Now, with a veto on the definitive lifting of U.S. sanctions, the U.S. Congress has a significant voice in shaping Syria's future. Tell us more.
Indeed, it may well be that it is Syria rather than Gaza that determines the Middle East future in the short and midterm. U.S. President Donald Trump and Gulf states are rallying to support Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharaa to cement Syria's break with Iran and ensure that Syria does not disintegrate into another Lebanon or Libya. Disintegration would further destabilize the Middle East and turn Syria into a free-for-all. The potential spoiler in this is Israel, whose attacks on the Syrian military, attempts to ban the military from operating in southern Syria, and projection of itself as the protector of Syrian minorities like the Druze are designed to weaken al-Sharaa's grip on power. Much will depend on al-Sharaa more forcefully reaching out to minorities, particularly the Kurds, while ensuring that the Kurds do not become an Israeli-Turkish flashpoint, and on the U.S. Congress permanently lifting sanctions against Syria.
Now, as al-Sharaa completed his trip to the U.S. this week, the U.S. and international backing for al-Sharaa puts China in an awkward position. As the Syrian foreign minister heads in that direction, he's going to Beijing.
China's interests in Syria differ from those of much of the international community. China wants to have a share in reconstruction and be a player, but is concerned about the position of thousands of Uyghur fighters in Syria, who played a key role in the civil war and the toppling of former President Bashar al-Assad. That will be at the top of the Chinese agenda when Foreign Minister al-Shibani visits Beijing later this month. Al-Sharaa has sought to address the issue by integrating the Uyghurs into a newly formed Syrian army division with mixed results. The Uyghur issue has put China in an uncomfortable position. In a rare instance of not aligning itself with the majority of the international community, China abstained in a recent United Nations Security Council vote to lift al-Sharaa's designation as a terrorist. Rather than veto, China abstained, making it the only country not to vote in favor.
Now, a revised draft United Nations Security Council resolution that would anchor key parts of the U.S. President Donald Trump's Gaza ceasefire proposal in international law. It highlights how a growing Gulf influence in fine-tuning U.S. policy, and it potentially cements differences with Israel. Tell us about that.
The United States is struggling to get an international stabilization force for Gaza off the ground. The force is the key to starting to implement the second phase of Donald Trump's Gaza ceasefire proposal. In doing so, Trump is yielding to Arab and European pressure. One indication of that is the U.S. seeking to anchor the force into international law with a United Nations Security Council resolution. Involving the UN is a key Arab and European demand that goes against Israel's grain. Israel has always opposed internationalization of its conflict with the Palestinians, as well as UN involvement. Israel is also unhappy with a reference in the draft resolution to the Saudi-French push for the creation of an independent Palestinian state. At the same time, the resolution gives Israel a nod by defining the force's mandate as, among others, disarming Hamas. No Arab or European country wants to violently disarm Hamas, which means without Hamas agreeing to some form of disarmament, creating an international force could prove difficult at best.
Okay, now, James, alarmed by shifting attitudes towards Israel and rising anti Semitism in Trump's support base, Israeli officials likely see the American rapper who has been repenting for his anti Semitic track record as a rare success of their multi-million-dollar endeavor. Tell us more about that.
Indeed, Israel is investing tens of millions of dollars in campaigns to halt a shift away from Israel and towards the Palestinians among evangelicals, particularly young evangelicals in the United States, and Trump's Make America Great Again support base. Israel had a rare success with rapper Ye, formerly known as Kane West, meeting an Israeli rabbi recently to repent for his track record of anti-Semitism. Israel's problem is that its continued attacks in Gaza, the continued genocidal language being used by Israeli ultra-nationalist officials and military commanders, as well as religious leaders, speaks louder than the Israeli narrative. It will take radical changes in Israeli policy to reverse the tide, and there is no indication of Israel rethinking.
Well, James, thank you so much for your time and the wonderful insight you shared with us. You go well.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Same to you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
That was James Dorsey, an award winning scholar in